Dr. Popovsky, thank you very much for joining us. We now move on to more regarding the US. Amid the brewing controversy over a Signal chat leak of Trump's officials, Mike Waltz claims full responsibility for the group chat of senior administration officials. Waltz's comments came one day after Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, revealed that he was added to a group on Signal, a private messaging app. Goldberg's account in The Atlantic suggested that Waltz has mistakenly invited him to the chat. The prominent journalist remained in the group undetected as the president's cabinet discussed policy and coordinated a wave of bombings. An extraordinary breach that critics said put national security at risk. While Mike took complete responsibility of the leak in an interview with Fox News, he also denied being in contact with Goldberg. Let's in fact listen to what Waltz had to say.
It's embarrassing,
right.
Yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone. Look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated. It's embarrassing.
Right.
Meanwhile, United States President Donald Trump has said that Waltz does not need to apologize for it and that his administration is... Listen in.
No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again. No, I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best. It's equipment and technology that's not perfect, and probably he won't be using it again.
US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe denied at a Senate hearing that any classified information was shared in the message chain. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth also faced scrutiny for the messages, though he did not testify. Democrats on the panel rebuked the cabinet members as incompetent with national security. We are joined by Mika Pikus, US foreign policy expert, located in Washington, to discuss this further. Thank you very much for joining us. Mika, I wanted to get to the brunt of this. First of all, how on earth did something like this happen? And also, why does Donald Trump not see Mike Waltz? Why does he think that there is no need for him to apologize for this incident?
Well, first, thank you for the invitation to be here. It's great to be here. So I think the first answer to the question is I think it's sloppy, it's careless. There's no reason that government officials, especially ones operating at the top echelons of our government, should be using a commercial messaging app like Signal to be conducting this. There are government systems in place specifically to do that. So they were already out of bounds from the beginning. It's as far as Trump is concerned, if he doesn't have to take direct responsibility for it, he won't. That's the sort of the way that he operates. And I think in some ways he's sort of sheltering Waltz a little bit, but there also was some distancing in his remarks as well.
What do you think of, Mika, what do you think of Jeffrey Goldberg, the journalist that was obviously involuntarily tied up in this whole situation? How do you respond to the way he's sort of been attacked now by the unapologetic Trump administration?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's a bad look just for the White House to be going after anybody like that. But contrary to what I think Waltz said, Jeffrey Goldberg has an incredible reputation for really top-notch journalism that he's built up over many, many years to get to where he is as the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, which is a very reputable publication. And you know, it's sort of a he said, she said situation, or he said, I suppose at this point, because it's really about pointing fingers. Hegseth calls him a lot, says he's deceitful. Waltz says he's scum, I think was the word he used. And then Goldberg was on another program and he said, look, this is a lie. I have the receipts. And I think it's just particularly bad form to be accusing somebody of being a liar or bad journalism when they are quite literally in possession of all these receipts. I'll also note that this all took place before the Houthi attacks in Yemen. So in some ways, Goldberg had the wherewithal to hold off on publishing anything until after this had sort of blown over. And not to say that the government owes him one, but he could have caused a major kerfuffle if he had released this earlier, if that makes sense.
Yes. What's particularly surreal is looking at these messages and seeing the sort of the fact that they are obviously discussed. These matters of national security were discussed in this sort of WhatsApp-style app with the use of emojis, American flags, fire emojis. Is this a normal process? What is the sort of normal process to discuss security matters like this, and how does this differ?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the first thing I would say is usually all sorts of sensitive information should be done. These discussions usually take place in some sort of what I'm sure most people are familiar with. There's like a situation room, a war room, right? These called SCIFs, sensitive compartmented information facilities, which is basically it's a secure room. It's built specifically to handle highly classified data, and it's designed to block eavesdropping, which is not like Signal. And if you're in different places, there's something called SIPRNet, which is a secure. It's basically the DoD's, our Defense Department's classified internet for secret level info, and then JWICS, which is one level up from that, which is for top secret stuff. So these things are in place. They've been in place. People have said they need updating, sure, but that doesn't excuse you to just completely abandon the rule book and throw it out the window, especially when you're talking about troop movements and munitions and all sorts of tactical and strategic things that really have no business being aired out in public. And as I'm sure people who, if they watch the Senate hearing, you could see some of the senators up there were quite frustrated. They're like, well, if there's no classified information, then can you please tell us this? So it's sort of this back and forth about who gets to decide what's classified, who gets to decide what's not. But the bottom line is that it is a departure from the norms. This is not how business is supposed to be conducted. We knew that a little bit from Trump 1.0, but this is just starting to stray off the tracks even further.
Mika, one final question. Now Mike Waltz has taken responsibility and apologized. Is he out of the hot water? Do you see, if this stays in the press and the US media, the international media doesn't move on, do you see Mike Waltz potentially losing his job?
I would not be surprised if he did at some point. I think he may be safe for now, time being, but if there's something that is very apparent about Donald Trump is he's extremely transactional, right? It's a very sort of I scratch your back, you scratch mine situation. So at this point, he's scratched Waltz's back. There may be a time that he's going to ask Waltz to scratch his, and if that doesn't happen, he'll be out the door. Simple as that. There are some Republicans in the House and the Senate have been a little cagey about trying to step too far out of line with the Trump mainstream agenda here, which is that Waltz is okay. But the Democratic side of the aisle, for example, were very, very raucous in saying, like, no, we're going to investigate this. There's going to be hearings galore. So I would say he's absolutely not out of the woods yet. If I were him, I'd be looking over my shoulder because this is a pretty egregious breach of national security. And yes. It's just not acceptable for the standard of the position that these guys are holding.
Mika Pikas, thank you very much for joining us in that discussion. Fascinating. US